Now, what this article says, it's described as a wildly theoretical paper that lives on the edge of science and science fiction.
Okay.
But it offers a path for using asteroids to build cities in space.
What?
So the path being, and we've talked about this before, there's this thing called an O'Neill cylinder, right? And some physicist was sort of charged with, how do you create artificial gravity in space? How are we going to have cities up there and things? And this guy's got this theoretically feasible model, which is called an O'Neill cylinder. And it rotates. It's these two really long rods, but it rotates in opposite directions, and it creates basically gravity, and you wouldn't experience it. It's slow enough that you don't experience motion sickness, but fast enough that you get the effects of gravity and things like that.
Interesting.
But the problem is to have an O'Neill cylinder, you need, I can't remember what it is, but it's like they need to be kilometers long. So you need a lot of material in space, and that's just not feasible at the moment.
Right.
So you need lots of material in space. So how this guy's theorized that perhaps we can use these porous rubble piles that are just all flying through space to create O'Neill cylinders. There's about apparently 1,000 asteroids larger than 1 mile across in our solar system.
Yeah.
The researchers imagine covering an asteroid in a flexible mesh bag made of ultralight and high-strength carbon nanofibers, which are tubes made of carbon, each just a few atoms in diameter. Apparently, they're super strong. The bag would envelop and support the entire spinning mass of the asteroid's rubble and habitat within, whilst also supporting its own weight as it spins. So essentially what you do is you put this like mesh around the asteroid, and then you start spinning it, and the centrifugal force of the it makes me think of that song, that fucking Savage Garden song I always think.
No, it's not Savage Garden.
Oh, isn't it? What is it?
What, centrifugal motion?
Yeah.
Perpetual bliss.
Yeah.
It's that pivotal moment.
So that's what this is doing. So they basically spin it out.
Put it in the bag, spin it up
and
as
then,
fast as you can.
Yes, and all the material goes to the outside of it.
Yeah.
And now you've got the cylinder, you've got all the material. And apparently that's an excellent, firstly, the material protects you from the radiation in deep space because it's now lined. You've got a rotating cylinder that's lined with heavy asteroid material.
And mesh.
Yeah, the mesh. So it says here the process could theoretically go something like this. The asteroid would be spun to create artificial gravity. This process would inevitably cause the asteroid to break apart.
Oh. That's okay.
No, that's what you want, yeah.
Oh.
The bits of the asteroid rubble would fling outward, expanding the carbon nanofiber bag enveloping the asteroid. Big bag. When the bag reached its maximum extent, the carbon nanofibers would snap taut, catching the expanding rubble.
Yeah, we're bagging it up.
It's taut, bagging it up. As the rubble settled against the bag, it would produce a layer thick enough to shield against the radiation for anyone living inside. The spin of the cylinder would induce artificial gravity on the inner surface.
Here we fucking go. Easy.
They've solved it. Based on our calculations, a 300-meter diameter asteroid, just a few football fields across, could be expanded into a cylindrical space habitat with about 22 square miles of living area. It's roughly the size of Manhattan.
Yeah, so Manhattan in a bag in space.
Yeah,
spinning.
Exactly. And what I love about these things, because he says it's wildly theoretical, they go into it saying it's crazy, but they say it's possible, right?
Yeah,
that's the main thing. He goes in terms of
but in terms of why are we going so far?
From a material science point of view, it's possible because we can't get the material into space to create O'Neill cylinders.
Right. No, we can. So get the bag done, right? We've got the bag. Right?
Got the bag.
Chuck the bag up, right? Throw the bag up. Chuck it towards the moon, on the way to the moon. Then we're chopping up the moon and sending it to the bag.
Chop up the moon. We don't need to do it. We got asteroids all around.
No, but
all around the place.
No, but this will be like a base between. You don't have to go catch it in the bag. You don't have to go to it. You can pick where you want the bag to be. So we want this city between Earth and the moon, let's say, or between the moon and Mars.
Why would we want a city between the moon and Earth? We can go anywhere. That's like we've already got space station. We've done that. We can live on the moon. We don't need something in between moon and Earth.
Well, you wouldn't want to live in like, man, but then you can still come back. Like the commute's not bad.
True. The commute's not bad. You're right. The commute would be great.
You said like, do you want to go to Earth for the weekend? Well, it's going to take us like 12 weeks to get there. So they'll figure that out. Star Trek ships will figure that shit out.
We'll figure that. Well, that's kind of the point. He says the idea of asteroid cities might seem too distant until you realize that in 1900, no one had ever flown in an airplane. Yet right at this minute, thousands of people are sitting comfortably in chairs as they hurtle at hundreds of miles an hour, miles above the ground. He makes a good point. I know what does that have to do with the price of apples in China? I get that. But, let's live a little. Let's entertain it. It's not – he's saying it's possible. We don't know how else to do it. How else are we going to bag? Let's bag it up.
Bag it up.
Let's bag it up. Let's just get it. Let's get excited. Let's bag it.
You know who would love this is Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis bagging and tagging asteroids.
Yeah, he'd be all about this. He'd be all about this. But we want Manhattan-sized bags in space.
Yeah.
We want 22 square miles of living area. That's what I want. Man, imagine, okay, like the richest people in the world. Yeah, they're just going to keep collecting all the money, right? And then they're going to use the money to create this sweet Manhattan bag in space. Yeah, it's going to be so palatial. It is going to be so palatial. We're going to be...
The bag floated through the vast expanse of space. Its flexible material ripping gently in the vacuum. It was simple, unassuming object, but it had a very important mission. For years, the bag had been traveling through the cosmos, capturing asteroids and small planetoids as it went. It was part of an ambitious project to build entire cities in space, using the raw materials of the universe itself. This is amazing. I had the idea
just something
the story.
That's something you just came up with, right?
Of course, I just came up with this.
That's beautiful. Wow. It's so poetic.
Yeah.
It's so poetic.
Over time, the bag grew larger and heavier, filled with a multitude of asteroids of all shapes and sizes. It was a strange sight, this seemingly mundane object carrying such precious cargo. Finally, after years of travel, the bag reached its destination. It was a remote corner of the galaxy, far from any known civilization. Here, a team of engineers and scientists waited to unpack the bag and begin the process of building their space city.
Unpack the bag.
Yeah, unpack the bag. As the asteroids were unloaded and sorted, the team marveled at the diversity of materials they had to work with. There were metallic asteroids rich in iron and other rare elements. There were rocky asteroids filled with all manner of minerals. And there were some that were made mostly of ice, which could be used to provide water and other resources.